knowledge about about Bitcoin, I am all for it, you know. And so this is a post at the show. I'm absolutely all for it. Um, but then eventually I realized, oh, there is something really wrong with this model, you know. First of all, you know, he doesn't do even correctly because when you do these models, they are um, unique in the sense that you get, if you follow coherently the way that are built, when you know, because his first step is making this power law between S to F. And so, like I say, sometime we can try to do it together, show you how it's built. But he basically defined S to F, and S to F is nothing else than the supply, right? And the supply grows initially before the halving, it grows linearly. So it's nothing else than time, because what does S to F means is supply supply divided the flow, right? It's almost like I say, oh, I came up with this big quantity called the distance over the velocity. Well, velocity is distance over the time, right? So you do distance over time. Guess what? Distance cancel. And if you have, imagine you have 1/1/2. What is 1/1/2? It's 2. So that 1/2, right, it flips and it goes up. So it's 2. So basically, if I have distance over velocity, that is distance over time, I get time. And the same thing with stock to flow, because it's exactly the same thing. It's stock over flow, and flow is supply over time. So when you do that, you get time. Guess what? Ask 99.9% of his 2 million followers if what uh, if they think that a stock to flow has anything to do with time, or is it time, and they will absolutely have no clue. It's literally time up to the halving. Okay, so the first time there is an halving, then
Hmm.
because the supply change, the flow changes by a factor of 2, you have a jump. So the first year stock to flow is 1 year. Let's say at the end of the 1 year. After, in fact, if you measure it in day, it will be 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. It's literally time. And then at the end of the 4 years, when we had the first halving, it will jump, and now all of a sudden goes to 8. And then it continues. Then it will be 8 in 1 day, 8 in 2 days, 8 in 3 days, until the next halving. And then it jumps. Okay. So it's basically jumping time. It's nothing else. It's no absolutely nothing else. It's time that jumps. And this is why it correlates so good
Yeah.
with the price, because we have a power law, and the power law is a power law in time, right? It's stupid. It's a stupid thing, and you add this thing where now it's bent. You have these flat areas. What they represent? Nothing, right? It means that whatever is using with these issuance, it's not correlating with price. But because of the jump, it makes it correlate. It basically creates this weird quantity that it's a jumping time. But people have no clue. People have absolutely no clue. They think there is some meaning, is related to scarcity. We have all these weird things. Plus, why the predictions are so off? Because if you stick with these premises, that is this quantity that jumps, once you are done with your fitting, because the fitting will force it to follow actually the price up to that point. Now, if it does the fitting continuously, it will always follow. We will never be able to show that S2F is wrong, because it will always update it where it always follows the price. But if he sticks with the previous prediction, this is why he needs every
But
cycle.
he already changed his prediction twice.
Exactly. He
No?
needs to
Yeah.
do that. He needs to do that, because if you stick to the previous prediction, up to that point, it follows. But because the prediction is the next halving will go up by 2, and the relationship between the power law and the price and the stock to flow is the cube 2, like 3.2 or something. So if you take 2 to the 3.2, you get 10. So basically, he always predicts 10 times growth from the last halving.
Yeah.
So wherever we were last time he predicted 100,000. So if he was coherent, we should have 10 million this time. Sorry, 1 million this
Yeah.
time. We will have, and that, by the way, the other thing that he
But
never said.
he changed the floor, like the floor to
Yeah,
50.
and that's a so a horrible trick, because you know why? If you are coherent with the construction of a model, the model gives you everything you need to know. There is no space for fuzziness. There are two numbers that you get from the fitting. You get, like we do, we get the slope, and we get the y-intercept. And the slope, so for example, when I do it, when I reproduce stock to flow, this is what I use. I never had this fuzziness factor that he adds. So, because you can always multiply by a constant, right? And that constant, you kind of choose it by eye. He does it by eye, by trying to fit it as good as possible, right, with his own eyes. There is not really a methodology there. But if you stick to the construction, to the logic of the construction, there is no fuzziness. For example, the graph that you show there, you see that graph is based
Yeah.
on following the recipe to the dot, and then you get that green curve that is S to F. You see, and it doesn't really even match the price to well. It kind of stay there on the bottom, then it goes up, because it doesn't really. It's not a very good model at all. It's not consistent in what it's showing. It's sometimes showing the bottom, sometimes showing the middle, and in fact, if you continue to let it go over time, it's supposed to decouple from the price, because the price continues as a power law. This thing continues an exponential. It's actually an exponential. Every time you jump by a precise value over time, that is the definition of an exponential. Instead of with the power law, we get these diminishing returns, right? So we don't get a factor of 10 every 4 years. We don't. Um, Even now, we know that, right? If you look at how much we went up every 4 years, we did it. Last time was kind of close to 10 years, but the previous one was 56 or something like that. It was much higher. And now, if you do the prediction according to the power law, it will not be 10. It will be something like 6 or 7 or something like that. From the bottom. So it does exactly, right. So it doesn't make sense. There are different models, but in theory, right, if you actually use it, don't have a fuzziness that he has, uh, it's well defined. The model is well defined. You don't need to add any fuzziness, and it is completely inconsistent with where it should be, and the prediction should be close to 1 million. And then he adjusted and he say, oh, I can introduce it, and people still follow him. A factor of two. Oh, let's now it's 500,000, and it's still crazy, because we are not going to reach 500,000. I'm pretty sure about that. It'd be nice, but we don't. And when he's going to not reach with 500,000, you will see. You will see. He will come
Yeah.
up with excuses. There will be some event like last
He's
time.
gonna adjust his model again, but
Yeah, it's China. It was China.
but
That he didn't.
at this point, he's making a really good living out of his social media and everything.
Absolutely, and
Uh,
people.
He was
They're not
invited on Dutch television and probably in more countries as well. I don't know,
Mhm.
like the last cycle.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to
The last
him,
cycle
like
was crazy,
it's a business model. Like he's gonna keep going, and it's making him a lot of money. So he's not gonna stop. That's what I think. Like, why would he
People
admit
are
that he's
also
wrong, right?
correct. And people are confused about that, because they say, well, he's not selling anything. He's not selling indicator. It's not true, because you're buying with your attention and with your time. Um, that is selling, because 2 million people on X, it does make you good money, because right now, just because I'm transparent with everything, I make $200. This is what I make from X.
Yeah.
X pay me $200, okay, and I have 30K. So let's even do a rough. Maybe it's not perfectly proportional, but okay. So if you have a 2 million, right, and you divide it by 30K, okay, so that is 66 times, right? Um, and so 66, times 200, whatever it is, that is already $13,000
What?
a month.
A month?
Only a month, that are only from
Ju-
X,
Yeah, just from
only
X.
from X.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And imagine um, what he gets from YouTube,
YouTube,
because
and he has
on
a
YouTube he
website.
has hundreds of thousands of people following him too. So he probably makes several $1,000s from that too. It's pretty good living, right?
Yeah, and he's,
For
for example, a Bybit affiliate as well. So
and he has
yeah,
affiliates. And also he has like some kind of a fund. They even told me that. At a certain point, he was telling me that he was working on some kind of fund that people, some because
yeah,
there is always some stupid millionaire, that think that this
yeah.
is such important thing,
He has
etc. And
a
then
history of working at Dutch banks as well.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
So
I mean, like in the end, maybe it's all for the best because like he's bringing more and more people to Bitcoin as well, and that's fine
yeah,
for us.
but
But he's spreading like wrong info, maybe a wrong model.
to me that it's Bitcoin in the end should be about truth. It should be about truth. So we want to
Yeah,
orange peel people on truth, because otherwise, what is the difference between us and one of these shit coins, right? So when people say that, and also sometimes they justify other influencers, talking about God candles, creating the FOMO. I mean, I am not against memes, and if somebody makes a meme about a God candle and say that just for laughs, etc., and it's clear is a meme, etc., then I am okay with it. I can laugh too, I can have fun, etc. But to me, Bitcoin in the end, it's about truth, you know, and
yeah,
so and having and also people will be wrecked anyway because it doesn't matter how much information put there, science, etc. There will be people that go and still buy at the top. It's for maybe it's even part of education process. Um, that everybody needs to go through some kind of because I did a lot of stupid things since I came to Bitcoin. I got
yeah. Me
uh,
too. Me too. But I
yeah,
never bought the top. But I did a lot of stupid things with leverage.
right. I didn't sell. I didn't sell at the top, right? For example, I was very heavily exposed with crypto in 2017.
Yeah,
I
same here.
I had a ton of Bitcoin that I should have sold all in USDT or at least in Bitcoin because Bitcoin eventually recovered. The coins did it, and the coins lost much faster than Bitcoin. And they went up faster, but then also they lost faster. And I got hacked. I lost the 35 Bitcoin because I left it on an exchange. I did a lot of stupid things. Um, and so it's part of a learning process, maybe. But, you know, being so there are, like I was saying, there are two possibilities. One is he's not aware, he doesn't understand it. He knows, right? Because at this point, I even told him in his face that his model is fake. He knows my
Yeah,
argument. Even recently, he saw my soccer game prices, that I used to model S2F. Basically, used instead of having these two times jumps, I use soccer prices. I just wanted to show it doesn't matter how big is the jump. It can be more or less random. If a jumps go up in a consistent manner, it works. You know,
mhm.
so it means that whatever is using, it's not really important. It doesn't matter. It's just an artifact. It's just a
He
trick.
probably realized it, but he's
Yeah,
not.
I think he realized because he's not that stupid.
He's
So
not stupid.
the
No,
first
not.
hypothesis that he doesn't understand it. I don't think he holds because at a minimum, anybody that has a little bit of math background, uh, because he has to understand to even build the model how a little bit the math works. Even if he's not really a mathematician or physicist,
Yep.
he has some skills. He will have to. If I was him and somebody show me that, I will be I will not use it anymore. I will come up and say, yeah, I did a mistake. I tried my best. I tried to understand Bitcoin. I tried made this model. It seemed to make sense, and I will be the first one to say, yeah, don't worry about, man. Was an important contribution. Great, thank you. I will be the first one. Because I am always like that. When somebody is sincere and is trying to help us in understanding Bitcoin, I'm the first one uh, telling all the amazing things. For example, when I talk about Trollolò, right, that I call the grandfather
Yeah.
of a power law. I have an entire article say, look, if I ever meet you in real life, I want to give you a hug, because I'm praising him, because he kind of had an intuition that he was almost coming to the conclusion that Bitcoin was a power law. It came very, very close. And so I think at this point, my hunger with him is that he made a very conscious choice to continue to push this thing, knowing that it's garbage, and
Yep.
that is basically fraud, that we are then frauding people, you are telling people lies, and they're lies, and because you're making, I think he probably maybe he made even hundreds of thousands, if not more than that, in particular last cycles, with people maybe investing in his stuff, consulting with him, all kind of stuff like
Hmm.
that. So he really made a big, huge gains from this, and it's garbage. It's like literally garbage, and it makes me crazy.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
don't,
It will never stop. Like
yeah, and
it,
I
it
think
will destroy his business. So
yeah, and in the next cycle, I bet almost everything that of course, if he goes to
what?
500,000 for some miracle, he will
Yeah.
take the entire. He will take credit for it, and
He will
you
go to
understand.
10 million followers probably.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to understand though, it's not the top, right? And that will be the other misleading field. If he touches 500 and then crashes, he will still declare victory.
Mm.
When it's not, because that floor, that
Yeah, it's a
7K that
500K
showed,
floor. I'm looking at it now.
no, it's not the floor, it's the middle, because that is what
Oh,
the power law gives you, right? So when you trace this line across all the data, it's supposed to represent like the middle ground. This is why when we find the floor, we say, well, it's a 60% deviation from the trend, and this is how we found the floor. In this case, what he's drawing here is the middle. It's supposed to be the middle. It's not supposed to be the top. And so, but he never said that. He never said that, and or maybe said it in the past, and he's not saying it anymore. It's all, it's all a scam. It's all a scam, because can you imagine Bitcoin? And they can you show this in a linear same face? Can you show this in the linear chart? Because you will see how
Yes.
ridiculous it
Yeah,
is
just a
when it's
second.
linear, right? Because the log graph
you
doesn't
know,
give you a feel.
I'm a little bit biased because I got burned on following his model in
Mhm. What
2000
happened? What happened?
in last cycle.
What
So
happened? What happened to you?
I had a couple of top indicators I was looking at like hash rate, miner revenue.
Hmm.
I was looking at his model, and he was in the Dutch news as well. And I believed in his model that it was going to 100K at least, right?
Hmm.
So I only sold 1/3 of my Bitcoin on like the first top at 69K, and that was because of the Pi cycle top indicator. You might have heard about it, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's probably also garbage. but I don't know.
No,
But
it's
it
over.
did me
It's
well.
just trend.
Okay,
It's
let
just
me tell you
moving
about.
averages.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It did me well, but the second top I never got to sell because of Plan B. Um,
you don't.
I
It
don't want to
is.
blame him, but I was looking at the rational root, the spiral
Yeah,
chart, and I was like,
yeah,
wait, I'm supposed to sell, but the S to F model is telling me it's going to 100K, so I'm not selling,
exactly.
and that's
Hmm.
where I got
Hmm.
burned. and burned.
Right.
And, looking
Yeah.
back,
So
I didn't know it was follow. I didn't know about the power law at all, by the way, at that
yeah.
time. And
This year? Which year was this?
I'm very disappointed that
Last cycle, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very disappointed that I didn't find out about the power law until like maybe 3-4 months ago. And
Mhm.
I bought the
So-
Pi Cycle bottom just to let you know. That's where I got in at.
Did?
Yep.
And what was the bottom at?
It was right around. Well, when it went off, it was around 20K, but I got in at 20,700.
Swap
And
your
did you know about the power law back
No.
then? Or
I knew about like a logarithmic regression band, but I
Yeah.
didn't know about
Benjamin Cohen or
Yeah, I guess I knew about the Tralala stuff, but I didn't know
you did?
what a power law was.
Yeah, the problem with that law that the parameters that he was using were
Yeah.
off because he did it so early that the fitting was completely off, right?
Mhm.
So this is why I say he's really the grandfather, because he was on the right path in the sense that he realized that it was important to do the scaling of the y-axis. Then that if you focus on this, if you focus on the changes on scale, then it didn't look linear because in that chart, an exponential, everybody was talking exponential at that time. Most people, like they were like real influential people, they were saying exponential, exponential, exponential. And then he was showing, no, it doesn't look exponential. It looks something else. It looks like it's growing slower than an exponential. So was his intuition. And that's why I call it the grandfather. Me myself, I saw that model. I look at it. It was not really convincing because there was nothing like as striking as that straight line. When we see that straight line in the log, that is really when it hits you, like whoa. This is not something that you get by chance. And so um, I didn't even collide. I went back in time and say, oh, you know what? I think that guy, that troll low,
Mhm.
I think he had some point, that he was kind of the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, let me tell you about the pi indicator. What it is basically two moving averages. It is kind of okay because, of course,
It was
you can use
fitted to
anything.
both tops or something, right? It was just fitting.
No, it's not fitting. It's not fitting. It's just like he probably kind of tried many different averages, right? So
Yeah.
if you find the right average, because there are these 4-year cycle, and from what I remember is one is long term and the other one is short term. The long term is around 300 days, so basically 1 year. So you have like 1 year, um, close to that, right? 1 year averaging, and so
Mhm.
it kind of is able to catch the long term behavior, right? Not really long term, but long term enough to kind of average a little bit the tops, etc. And then the other one that is shorter, right? Um, and maybe, do you remember what we are seven phase? Something like, I think actually one is 1,000 day, right? Is it like this? And the other one is 300 days, something like that, right?
Yeah.
There is a proportion about three. What and so basically one, in a sense, is not really the power law, because of course, if you average and average, you will get the power law. You will get the power law. If you do 4-year average, it looks exactly like the power law, because you start to average so much that you will find the real trend that is the power law. But it's kind of like close to it, but not really. And then he has like another one that is shorter, smaller window. We can even do it together. We can actually do it. In fact, if you want, we can do it together
You can
today.
show
In
me.
fact,
Yeah.
yeah, we should do that. And then, the crossing of these two things, it's happening after the peak because, of course, right, when the peak happens, and the average is always delayed. An average is, by definition, is always delayed because basically you're looking at
Yeah.
the previous data, right? And so all these indicators are all delayed. So
Yeah, they're all slacking or
lagging, right? So and
lagging.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and then the shorter one will intersect because, of course, it's reacting faster to the
Yeah,
change.
and when it crosses,
While
it
the
gets
other one,
signal.
yeah. And so they cross, and it's like we can even use it in the sense that it's going to tell us, it's going to confirm. We will be predicting. We will be able to tell ahead of time where this peak is, but because of our indicators are predictive, or even the one that we are reacting, like for example, the oscillator. Um, it's not really reacting. It's just saying the deviation is so big that usually this is when the tops are happening, right? So it's actually even that is predictive. So we know, and plus the timing, that we know that when you are coming close to 11, it should be where the tops are, blah blah blah. So we can use these as okay, it looks like we're really going down. Will be a further confirmation, but it usually happens later after the peak happens. Now, what makes me upset, and this is where sometimes people don't follow me, in why I'm doing things like this, or why I'm saying this way, but it makes it sound much more important than it is because he could have called it two averages, two averages indicators or something like that.
Yeah.
Or usually these indicators are called what is the name? Crosses, there is a
Moving
golden
average cross.
cross, and then we could have called it the Bitcoin cross or whatever.
Yeah, the
Whatever.
golden cross and a silver cross and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a cross, right? There is a fast moving indicator, average, and a slower one. It's nothing new. He made it sound much more important because he called it pi. And why is pi? Because he chose something close to, 1,000 day. And then if he did it on purpose, where he could have chosen exactly 1,000, and the other one would have been, let's say, 300, and then the ratio will have been, let's say, the ratio will have been 3, right? But he did it on purpose, where he added a little bit of more days by hand. There is nothing magical in choosing 1,100 days versus 1,050 days, right? He chooses just exactly right, where when he takes the ratio between the two, he gets pi, and he gives meaning to that. It's numerology,
I see.
it's stupid. It's like a rough three, a factor of 3 relationship between the two, but it's been a charlatan. And again, sometimes with these people, I don't know if they fool themselves, because there are some people that are like that. They don't know the math well enough. Where maybe he was playing around, and when he thought, oh, maybe I can use something, a ratio that is close to pi, and then
Yeah, make it
maybe
interesting.
that. So maybe he didn't understand, or maybe it has more meaning, right? And so he fooled himself. And then there are people that do it on purpose. So I don't know which one is which. I don't know if he did it on purpose, or if he fooled himself, thinking that there is
So
some meaning to that. There is
do
no
you?
meaning because the pi doesn't. Sure, you can say, for example, there are cycles. So when I do my, like you say, the rational route, I kind of got inspiration. I think you see how we have um, basically this spiral clock, right? That is exactly like a rational route. The only difference is we add the power law to that, right? Now we can say actually that precise behavior that you see in that polar chart, that is called a polar chart. He didn't invent the polar chart, right? It's something that we use all the time in science. But he was the first one doing with Bitcoin. That was genius, right? Because let's same thing with me when I found the power law, and I didn't invent the power law. I just found it in Bitcoin, so you get the credit. And so he gets the credit. Our addition is it's a clock. It's actually what you're seeing, the regularity of that clock that he showed, it's due to the power law. And basically, we are showing that if you plot now the power law it looks like this beautiful, very organized, very symmetric spiral. And so it's another way to show how regular and beautiful the power law is. And I think some people miss that; they don't understand it. Uh,
I think
but
it's a good indicator, the pi cycle, but you have to keep in mind it's just a moving average, which
Yeah.
is affected by price. So price can keep going, or it can never make it, or whatever it would like. It's only going to follow
Yeah, so
price.
But,
yeah, for example, the pi indicator, but like I say, it should not be called pi because it's misleading.
Yeah,
Giving people the feeling that pi is meaningful when it's not. And the point of what I was trying to tell you, right? How pi could be meaningful? Well, for example, when you make the spiral indicator, and at a certain point I can also show you how we make it. Okay, uh, the pi, it's there. It's actually there because what you're saying, I want to look. I take the days, I divide by 4 years, so 4 times 365, and then I multiply by 2 pi. So that number, and then I take the sine of that, right? So that's how you get the spirals. This is how you get this cyclic behavior. So in that case, pi, it's really there. It's really meaningful, okay? Because basically, because pi means it's related to circles, it's related to cycles, etc. So in that case, you are using pi directly, and you are transforming the Fourier into pi. So you're basically saying every time there is 4 years, make it like if it was 2 pi. So you are normalizing it to 2 pi. So in that case, you see, mathematically, pi is meaningful. But in this case, no, because there is not a sign, there is nothing. But the ratio between these two quantities could be anything. It could have been 2.9, could have been 3.3. It will have worked. He did it on purpose where he chose two numbers that are close to 3.14. It's misleading. It's really misleading because, and even in the description of the chart, it says, oh, because these reveal the cyclic nature of Bitcoin. Bullshit. You're a charlatan. It makes me really hungry because you're using math to say stuff that has nothing to do. And people sometimes get upset with me to point out that it's not, it's real, it's true. Don't mention pi. Pi has nothing to do with that. You just choose two numbers that are 1 to 3, and it's okay because it's right. You could have chosen 2.8. You could have chosen 2.9. It's kind of a right ratio to do what it's doing. That is alerting people that we are going down. You can kind of look at with your eyes that we are going down. You don't even need a pi indicator. It's just helps to visualize.
Can I ask you, do you have any logical explanation why it called the third top correctly? You know what I mean? In 2021, or the first
It
top?
didn't call it. It didn't call anything. It didn't call anything. I don't know why people say this.
It was.
I mean,
it was fitted.
how do we say
it
it?
was fitted to the
let's
first
look.
two cycles.
Yeah,
and
was
then
fitted.
it was fitted to the first two, and then it worked on the third.
Let's look at it.
Yeah,
So
why did it work? Was it because too much?
It's just
people
moving
were-
averages. So say you take a moving average of only the tops, and then you have a moving average of the bottoms, and then price is the third moving average. It's like 150 days moving average.
Okay.
And when it reaches the top, it just signals.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, but I might be understanding it wrong, but like somehow it was a little bit accurate. Like why?
Oh yeah, it was close.
Let's look at it. Okay, let's look at it.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not understanding it properly. But
let's look at it. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, Saving Face, can you do me a favor? Can you check what are the days that he's using?
Yeah. If I'll have to find it.
Yeah, you can even look it together. But if you don't mind, while I'm doing this, okay, I'm going to create a new indicator. Let's do the. Let's call it 2 moving averages because we don't want to cheat anybody. Moving to 2 moving averages indicator. Average. Because pi absolutely has nothing to do with it, right? As a mathematician, makes me upset.
I was just like somehow.
Right, so what do we do? Look,
it's
the easiest thing in the world. So these are Bitcoin price. Do you see these? Are you looking at my screen?
I'm looking at your live stream right now.
Okay, so you're looking at this, right? So you see, I'm creating a Halco, right?
Yeah,
And
I see everything.
so remember last time, right? We say indicator. We give it a title.
Yeah.
We give it, let's call it two moving averages. Okay. Then remember we do overlay, because overlay tell us if we want to plot it on top of the chart or like a separate oscillator below the chart, and we say true, right? Because we want to put it on top. And then it's really the simplest possible thing to do moving averages, right? And in fact, let's do these. Let's call it move one right now, because it will be the window for the first indicator, for the first moving average. So we do input, right? Because like, remember last time, and this has to be an integer, right? Because windows are bars, a number of bars. Can we check? Can you guys, did you come up with the numbers? What are these two numbers?
Just a second. Sorry, I was doing a screenshot. Let me get back here. The moving averages. So it's written out a really weird way. It's not just locked in. So if we only stay on the daily chart, it may work correctly. It looks like there's going to be 4 moving averages. One is
It's actually two, but
well, the high and low. If you're doing, I guess, just I took a screenshot of it. It's in the
let's do
chat.
the top for now.
I have
Yeah,
long
okay.
moving average 350 and short moving average 111.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah, you can use the 111 and the 150.
Or 350, right? 350.
The
350 and the 111, right?
Yeah, let me get back
Okay.
to the indicator and I'll turn off the lows so I can know which one are the actual.
So we are going to use, and one is the, we call it, let's call it long and short, like
Yeah.
the long one and the short one, right? So we do input int, right? Because it's a bunch of bars, and then we do 350. It's 350, right?
Yeah, 350 for long and
Long
111 for short.
moving. Okay, and you see, it's completely arbitrary. Why? Because if you take the ratio between these two, it will give us pi or something close to pi, right? So let's see.
Mhm.
In fact, let's calculate what it is. I'm curious myself. So 350. You know, it's bullshit. 350 over. I land 1100, right? 110, 110,
111.
Yeah.
111, right? Oh yeah, exactly 11. And it's 3.15. It's not even really pi. It's one. But you know, right? So if it is not pi, let's make it 312, right? Oh, okay. Oh, 311. So maybe it doesn't find. Let's do it. You know, until you find 3.1339. Oh, okay. You know, let's make it 300. I can play around. You see, this is exactly how he did it. He
Yeah.
did it like this, where he found the exact numbers to give it pi. So now we can call it pi. It's that makes me so furious, you know, because it's misleading. You know, it's misleading. But okay, enough of that. Okay, let's do 110. But with the exercise we are going to do is that we can show you it works anyway.
He was good
In
at
fact,
salesmanship, like he had the good name and he's got
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay, because nobody really will have
But
paid
it's
attention
the
or,
same
or
for
not
this.
that attention.
It's the same for Plan B, like the most bullish model. People are gonna like it.
Exactly. Not just bullish, but also good marketing, right? Good
Yeah.
marketing. So, and then once we have this, we calculate the moving averages, right? So we call it, we can call moving, you know, it's similar because one is supposed to be the window and this is the name, but you can call it whatever you want. You know, this is moving L1. I'm not the best naming stuff like this. But okay, so when you do moving average, you say it's a TA. So, you know, basically it's like a little folder where you put all these different functions. So you're going to have TA. Then you see how it gives me all these different options. You know, I can do all kinds of stuff. So the thing that we want to do is called a simple moving average, right?
Yeah.
So we scroll, scroll, scroll until we found SMA. You see? And you can even click and say SMA. And then you want to say what you see how in the syntax, right? Remember, this is called the syntax. The syntax says you need to put the source. In this case, you tell me what do you think the source will be. What are we going to use?
Close.
Source? Exactly. I want a close, right? So we are going to use
Closing
close.
bar, like
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have use
Yep.
What are you talking
That's what it
yeah,
means.
close
It
is
means the close of the day.
Yeah.
the close of the day, and you could have used close and open. You could have done, say, so I want to do both. I want to do an average. So if you did it close and open, then you could have divided by 2, and that will give you. You see, if you do like this, then you will have given an average between the two. In fact, you could have called it source 1, right? Let's say when you say close, or maybe you want to close and open, or maybe you want to do an average between close, open, high, and low. It depends. It depends on what
Yeah,
you
that's
want to
interesting.
do, right? It gives you all these options. We are putting source because now this gives us freedom to go back and change these. In fact, you could even make it an input, where you change it, from using that bolt. This allows, you remember, this allows us to create these variables where we can change them from the bolt. When we click on the bolt. If you don't do it in this way, then they are fixed, and you cannot change it unless you change the code. And then, so remember the syntax. So you go over, right? He wants two things. He wants the source, and he wants the length. And the length here is going to be, you tell me, what do I need to put here? Tell me, what should I
It's
put there?
the SMA. I don't know. I thought we were using EMAs.
We can use, is he using EMAs?
Let me get back into the code.
We can try both. We can try both and see actually which one works better.
He may be using SMAs though.
Let's try both. Let's try both. Let's try first SMA. Okay, we can go back and use EMA. EMA is exponential. I can tell you what is also the difference. I will tell you in a moment. But I want to know what I should put there. So you help me code, and it's not just me coding. You guys do it together. We do it together.
I mean, if we're just making the two moving averages, you just put one of them will be 350 and the next one will be 110.
No, but I want to use it in terms. See, I already did.
Okay, yeah, you're doing it like you would use the name of the input integer that you selected.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you see Sanders? Let me see the name correctly. Sanderson. You see why I do that, right? Instead of putting a number, because then I can change that number on the fly, right? So I use basically this is called a variable. I'm using a variable instead of using the number directly, because then I can change it here and it will change it automatically.
So doing it that way gives you the option in the settings.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then this is one of the tricks that you do when you code. You copy, if you have two things that are very similar, copy the first one and paste it, right? And now we can go back and change it, and we can call it. Oh, actually, call this different. I want to call it S1, right? Because it's the short one. Now, if we make a second one because it represents the bottom, instead we can call it 2, or we can call it L1 bottom. The names are up to you. There are some people that say you should try to name it in the simplest, in the most clear possible way.
I just name it whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So moving S1, right? And now what should I put here? Instead of moving L1 should be
I keep jumping back and forth. Sorry. It's the moving S1 will be the next name.
Right? Moving S1. Exactly. And then I plot them. This is the shortest possible. This is where, signori, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pi indicator. We did it. It's the stupidest things, it's really simple. And so now we plot them, right? And we plot the quantity moving, and they even love it because they even give you, if I find something close, you just click there. So
Yeah.
when you code a lot, it's actually nice to have like a
It-
little shortcut.
So this shows the moving average lines, basically.
Right, and now we
Yes.
need to specify a color.
He did the
we
math before. He told it what he wanted it to do, and now he's asking it to show us the math above it.
Yeah. So basically, the end result, in fact, even complains like some codes, if you don't plot, they will print the result, right? Because if you use a Python or MATLAB, it will print the result as a number on the screen.
Mm.
But because it's a it wants plots. If you don't do plot, it will actually complain. It will tell you, you made me do all this calculation and you didn't do anything with it. I'm complaining. So, and here I'm going to put moving, and see if I didn't put the G, it will complain.
If
right?
you stay
And,
there just for a second, you see you can see where it's asking, or what you can actually enter in this box right here. It's saying
Exactly.
so plot, and then it's asking the series, and then you can do a title, your color, your line width. So if you try to do something that is not inside this box, potentially it's going to say, hey, this doesn't work, and you have an error in your code, or it doesn't belong here.
Exactly. The only thing I don't like is I don't know why it's showing that title. Maybe what should be next?
Yeah, it's just saying.
know.
Yeah, it's just saying.
Giving you a suggestion of what should be.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can put it whatever way you
Yeah,
want.
it doesn't. You don't have to follow the order.
Mhm.
Again, certain codes they like you to follow the order. So again, this is called the syntax, right? So this technical term, it means is expecting a certain input. The only thing I would like, if I made the improvement, we could have color coded the things that are mandatory and the things that are not, that are optional. Because sometimes codes, we have a couple of things that are mandatory and you have to put it, otherwise it complains, and other things are optional that you don't have to put, right? All these, like I never put precision and never format or whatever.
The forced overlay is kind of nice.
Yeah, that's some of these. What does it do?
So say for the say if you were doing the spiral indicator and you wanted to mark the transitions of the market, like the bull market transition to full bull, and if you put forced overlay, it would actually mark it on the chart above,
really?
Not inside the indicator. Yeah, I just found that out the other day.
Oh, maybe we should use it. That's really cool.
It might be nice.
Yeah, very cool.
But basically, basically you're able to mark a signal on the chart, even if it's more down on the bottom.
Oh, really cool. I love it. So let's use it. See, this is why I like to interact with you guys. You teach me all the time stuff. So anyway, I wish they color coded, because when we know all these things is mandatory. This one is mandatory. I like line width. Line width allows you to make the line bigger or smaller. We can test it right now. If you want to make it bigger, to make it smaller, the style, you can tell, I want dotted line, I want this, I want that. It's really cool. There are a lot of different. And again, how do you know these things? Well, usually go on the internet. You can look, plot, trading, PineScript, and then there will be some manual somewhere that you can click and learn, some examples, But it's nice that by going over, he shows you this option. It helps, right, when you're doing the same thing over and over. After some time, it becomes like speaking a language. You remember, right? Like I code all the time in MATLAB. I know most of the functions, and if I don't know something, I will go online and say, "How do you do this?" With MATLAB, but it becomes rarer and rarer because it becomes like a second language for you.
It really is a language. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, there are even studies that show basically the same areas of the brain get activated. So, but basically, the format goes like this: color, and then I don't know why, but it wants you to say color again, right? Color, and then dot. And then when you do that, So the color basically say use this color equal, and then color it's the type of color. Again, why they do it in this way, I don't know. But
you can
go
also.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No, I finished. Go ahead.
If you don't want to do it that way, you can
Mhm.
erase the color green part and then put the number symbol, like the hashtag,
Right.
and you can type F 5 or 6 times. And so if you hover over the color green right now, like that little box,
Yeah.
and now go up to the top where it says color green 76, click on it. Now you've changed
Yeah.
it to what you see inside the program when you are changing the color.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, and you see how you can
Yeah,
slide these,
yeah.
right?
mhm.
And you can get different colors, different things. You
And
see that
if
you can go
And if you do
here.
it that way, it actually lets you change the color in the settings. It doesn't
now it's
lock
Yeah,
it into color blue.
nice. So it's really cool, right? It has a lot of functions. So, and then basically you're done. This is it. This is it. This is all what it is. This is you see, it's like 3 lines of code. That is why, come on, man. Don't make it. Okay, you found out that there are two numbers that kind of give us a good
yeah.
estimate of where um, you know, the trend. Because if it was a very regular trend, it will not probably work. The fact is, it's such a regular trend, so it's so
Mm-hmm.
predictable that two moving average work kind of okay identify where these tops are. But let's look at it. So first of all, we save it. There should not be any error. Usually the errors are here. You can click that, and then at the bottom, right click this little thing here. It gives you the result. So if usually you don't see anything red, and it say compiling, then it doesn't say anything red, and it say saved, then it's okay. Then it should be okay. Then you can add it to the chart. Add it to the chart. You see, this is it. This is all what it is. Now go under and let's see how good of a job it's actually doing. Okay, it didn't do very well here.
It's that's not exactly right. The blue one is not correct. It should be higher.
We can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go under.
It's a
I'm talking to my girlfriend. She's trying to help me with the book. She's writing the book for me. Yeah, right. Because she's like an English tutor, right? She's Italian and she's teaching English to American people. Can you imagine?
Mhm.
Uh, but she has almost no accent. It's not true. I have a lot of accent, just less than you. Say hi to my friends.
we can hear.
Hi, friends. Her name is
Oh,
Xenia, like the princess, the warrior. I have a lot of accent, just less than Giovanni.
So
Uh,
it looks like the 350 is a SMA, and the 150. So the 111 and the 350 are supposed to be both SMAs, and the only EMA is the 150.
okay, let's try again. So what is wrong?
We need to switch both of them to S. Oh, you have them in SMA.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, so what is this one called? Show
This
long.
is
what if you
before.
change it to 100? No.
The long SMA. It should be. I put the in my opinion, it's very weird. I don't exactly know how he did it. But
What
that's
is the
why I just
code?
posted the code in the chat versus
In the chat. Let me check. Okay. What
because
is the
it
code?
does have
Okay. So
some.
he has these two things. Will show high long SMA. So what are the high? The high are the 300 and the 11, right?
Yeah,
Um,
the two ones that we're looking for, if we're trying to do the top, it looks like they are called the long high
yeah,
BTC
just a
high
second. Let
long.
me check. Let me check. Let me check. Let me check. Okay. Uh, mine. Okay, so let me check. Okay, let me check what is doing. Okay, so he did the input. You see, let's study this code together. Let's look at it together. Okay, so for the moment, I always like to do one thing at a time when I do coding. right now there are 4 of them, right? So let's focus only on the high, and then we can go back on the low, okay? Because I like to do things step by step, like small little digestible steps. And so he has the same input. You see, the only difference, first of all, he choose better names. These are better names, right? It's clear what it is and whatever. So whoever programmed this is a better programmer than me. But the substance is the same. So, but notice here, it's meaning val. What is that, right? Meaning val in this case is, let's say that somebody wants to change that and wants to go to a negative number, he will not be able, or even 0, he will not be able to do it, because basically here with that meaning val, we are telling the possible small values for this is 1. You can also put a max value. So basically, it forces the user to stay within a range, right? If you put it a max value, it will be only between this value and this value. In this case, it can be any value you want for the upper limit, but the smallest possible value is 1. It's good. It's like making it foolproof, right? If somebody puts 0, it will not work. So you force them to go all the way to 1 as a minimum value. Do you understand that? That it's pretty simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the title, gives the title. And it's good to give titles so you know what these things are. And then the resolution, in this case, the resolution, it's day. So it's basically, it's forcing people to use day.
It's locking the indicator, to the daily time frame.
To the day. So this is it's an input, and you can change it if you want. But in this case, it's day. And then security. Okay. Security is usually when you're forcing something, like you're forcing, you don't leave a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, is what is trying to force is the resolution. Okay. And then
he's timesing it as well, the high and the low, to make the channel.
I know what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's multiplying by a factor of 2
mm-hmm.
the higher one. You see how here it takes the SMA, because otherwise everything else is really is identical to what we do. Besides this resolution, is simply multiplying by 2. So he multiplies by 2. This is what we were missing. So let's go back and add this factor of 2. And it was which one? It was the top one, right?
The 350.
We multiply by, I think this will be okay.
It should be, it should be okay.
And then we multiply, we save it. Okay, now it is there, right? I think now it works.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Correct. See, even that, right? Y factor of 2, it probably fudged it around until he found something that worked,
Yeah, this looks good. We'll use that. Yeah.
Right. I'm just telling you one thing immediately. Do you know what? We could not even have done without the green line, because it looks like wherever the price is intersecting the blue line when it comes back, that is our signal. That is actually probably even better signal, right? So if we, instead of waiting for the 2 to cross, you could check and look. So in fact, like, let me do this, right? If I suppress it for a second, so maybe you understand better what I'm saying. I'm going to suppress. So if you put a comment in front of something you're doing, then it's not going to do it, right? So in this case, it's not going to plot the green one. We can go back and add it again. See, this by itself could be the signal, because every time the price crosses it when it's coming back, right, then this is when we sell, right? We could use that as our signal. You don't even need the other one. Do you understand this?
A little bit, but in 2017 it crossed before.
We do have to keep in mind that,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that it was fitted to the first 2 cycles. So he designed it to signal on those first two, and then it just happened to work on the third.
Well, and I actually didn't, because that is my entire point. It didn't, because we know.
Well, time-wise, yes, it was.
Time-wise,
yeah.
Is that he could have if we had a top here for whatever reason, if we.
It would have signaled exactly.
It will have signal.
Yes.
And then it will not have had time to actually catch the second one.
That's what I'm saying. It just happened to work, and cycle happened to fall.
So much significance to this when all what it does, it's simply responding to the price. If the price goes up, this will follow, and of course, when the price goes down, right now, like I say, I think actually is a very good symbol because it's more honest, it's more open. You know exactly what it's doing. It's simply telling us, okay, it seems that now we're coming down, right? And so your eyes can tell you that we're coming down, but now you have this visual help that tells you that okay, it looks like we're going down, but you could see it, and let me add the green one. You see that there's not much information with the green line. The green line doesn't tell you much more than basically the intersection between the price itself, because basically this one is much faster. In fact, the price, you can think about the price as some kind of a moving average itself, right? That the price is average, zero average, right? It's the fastest possible average is the daily bar. I can make it, I can add another one that is like an average over 5 days, and it's going to smooth it a little bit more. It's arbitrary, right? You see here, if you say this is my signal, it's more or less the same thing, In fact, if you follow it, if you had like a bot with other to follow. Plus, look at this. Okay, so you can say is when the green line goes
when it goes up.
But here will have been here. That is really off. So I don't know why people think it's so precise, because actually in this case it's all the way here.
Yeah, it only signals once it crosses up.
Yeah, only when it goes up. Yeah.
So it's not very good. Like or will you have used this one?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, so I put a screenshot on in the chat of the signal with the signals on it.
Okay, when the green line crosses the blue line.
Yes, sir.
Right?
When it closes, I'm assuming it's a close above the blue, the first one.
So this one, okay. And so if it really found this peak, because and people are confused because they say, when means the peak came earlier, and said, no, it didn't come. We had a double top. There was some excitement, and people listen.
That's
to
what
this
I'm saying.
Indicator that and thinking that this was the end of a cycle. No, the end of a cycle was here, where it should have been, and this was the real top, where it has been all the time. It's just that we had, there was some excitement. The price went up and people started to sell, but then it's still top time-wise where it was supposed to be. So actually, this, in a sense, is a failure. But you see, because people that discuss these things sometimes don't understand the math, or they don't understand the ideas. We are trying to be consistent in terms of timing. If we are consistent in terms of timing, the real top was this one, not this one. Now, of course, we had something happening. We need to recognize it, to acknowledge it. Okay, fine.
So basically,
but, look, we could have really gone up much more here, and then people will have recognized it as a failure. Recognized it better, but it was kind of lucky that these two tops were similar, but this one was a real top.
So in the end, it gave me a good trade, and I was just lucky.
Yep.
By following it, that's what I realized.
It will have been much lower, and it will have still triggered. It will have been still triggered, because anything that will go up and then go down. There was nothing magical. There is no, actually this nice that has anything to do with pi and with cycles, because it could have happened here. It could have happened here anywhere else, and it will still have triggers. So nothing to do with cycles. But go and explain that to people. People will not accept it, because they don't understand. They don't understand math. They hear a pi, so they think there is something magical associated with it. These are the things that drive me nuts. But okay.
Yeah. I knew
I
it's
mean,
bullshit because
there
I
is
looked in
some
the code.
meaning
Just jump in there, man.
associated.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew it was bullshit all along because I looked at the indicator and I saw it was moving averages, right? And
Yes.
I looked at it; it was fitted, but I still gave it a try.
Yeah.
And it worked.
People
If-
use moving averages all the time, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's probably among all the indicators are probably the best ones because they have some science behind. It's an average. There is a real scientific calculation. Like look at this, how this one, for example, follows quite nicely the bottom. Because again, we know there is the power law, and if you're doing a good average, long enough, you will find the power law.
Yeah, I
to
use
make
the
this very
150.
long, if I do it long enough, it's going to be very close to what the power law is. But at the same time, it has some flexibility to actually include the peaks. But it's responding. It's not predicting anything.
Yep.
The big difference
Exactly.
between what we do and what the Sphinx does. Actually, I'm pretty impressed with it's actually really following the bottom when it needs to follow the bottom. But is that really reacting to the price and not?
It's just a trend. It's just showing you a trend.
It's just showing the trend. It's a
Mhm.
visual aid to show you the trend. But people that don't understand, they will think, oh, this is good. This is magical. No, it's something that we can use. We can add it to the chart because I'm okay with using anything that is going to help us. But it's not really giving us any additional information besides the price itself. It's just averaging it enough where it's smoother, right? This is how you should understand a moving average. It's a smoothing out of the data, but not notice the price that you pay by doing that. You see how a smoothing and see the bottom is here for the green line while it's here, right? And the peak is here, right? You see, it's always delayed. It's always, you see, the peak is here, the peak is there, right? It's always delayed. And you see how if you make the average longer, the delay is bigger. So with the peak for the blue one is here, and the real peak is over there. The bottom is here, and the bottom is over there. So as I make the averaging longer, I actually delay it more. Now, there is another way of doing averages that is called the exponential moving average. What the exponential does? It's more responsive because basically the moving average is the simple moving average is simply go look all of the prices from the from in that moving window, and the moving window means every time you move right by one, you go back by the same amount. Let's say that is 100 day, right? So you add one more day and you take one at the end, right? You add one more day and you take one from the end. So it's basically always the 100-day from where you do the moving average, right? So this is why it's called moving average. And the exponential, what the exponential does, we can call it EL1. I know it's a stupid name, but this means an exponential one, right? And we can change and say E is that simple, key, and now it's going to do the moving average. And now we can just copy this, I paste it, I put an E to both of them. See, these are all tricks where we use. And we can change the colors. Let's do it maybe red, orange, whatever it is. And this one, we can make it.
You don't have to click. You just have to hover over it.
Okay, we can make it this beautiful color. All right, and then we save it, and now we have exponential. Let's see the difference. See, they are more responsive. They are they act a little bit faster, right?
It weighs the recent data more heavily or something? Like how...
They are reacting faster to the data because basically this is why it's called exponentially. There is a faster decay, so it gives more weight to the recent data relatively to the older one. It's a way of emphasizing the recent data over the. So this, in fact, how we use the same interval, but
they move faster. Basically,
they move faster. And so maybe there is an advantage of that, or maybe not, right? Maybe the guy didn't use it on purpose, but because you see, for example, the two. So what did we say is
it should be the green and blue, I think.
The green and the green and blue is the other one. Green and blue is the other one, right? And purple and orange. So they don't even meet. Right? They don't even meet here. Because both of them react to the price quickly, so they actually don't even meet. Now we could use some other days, and then maybe they meet. Let's try. In fact, let's see if we can make the purple shorter. So instead of using, I'm going to create two more variables. So I'm going to copy these. And I'm going to call it this E. So because these are the inputs now, but let me make these short. Maybe
80 to 40. Okay.
Yeah, we can also change it from the bold, right? And you see now they meet there, and so maybe it's even better signal. At least it was better here. Look at this. See, they meet there, right? And look, they met here. I don't know. Is it? So this was a
there,
or whatever, right?
A little bit earlier.
And here was a little. So it's when the green goes above the blue, right? That's what we decided. So it's when basically the purple goes up. So it was a little bit too early here, right? It was a little bit too early. So we can change it because see that is the beauty of doing it with the bolt. So maybe 50 works better. 80, 70. Okay. You like that? 80. Okay. Look at this. It just exactly the peak here.
Yeah.
Oh, look! Wow, amazing. What about this one?
I get the whole point.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of moving averages anyway, but yeah, it answers my
there is some value and there is
very
some
well. Yeah.
Interesting, and you can play with it, and it's additional information. But it's and if he was honest and said, look, I found this nice pattern, these two numbers work pretty well, 1 to 3 ratio, roughly, then I will be the first one to say, wow, great. But what will have happened? Nobody will have called this thing anything special. Everybody will have thought, let's use this 3-to-1 moving average or whatever you want to call it. It will not have had the success in having somebody, because probably he's even selling it. I don't know if he sells it or
no, he doesn't sell it.
He does, okay. But at least he had some publicity or advertisement. His model is mentioned like one of the models. It's not a model. It's no model of anything.
I bet it was accidental. I bet he was building a moving average channel and then noticed that the math was somewhat close to pi and was like, I'll just switch it. Oh yeah, that still works. You know what I mean? And then exactly, went from there.
And probably it can. Sometimes people fool themselves. In thinking that something is meaningful. In particular, people that don't have formal training. That like a physicist and mathematician will never have that because people will have laughed. In this community will have laughed at it. If I go to a physics conference and they do something like that, people will laugh at me. People, believe me, people in physics, they are. I had a lot of people being very critical, super critical about, because they are professional in their field. It's like you're a football player, and you see immediately how the other people play and their ability, their skills, something that once you are an expert in the field is evident, so people don't have much tolerance for something like that. But yeah, that is what upsets me a little bit about this indicator. But it's if it is useful and if we can use it, why not?
I do like the 150-day EMA. It is, in my opinion, it is a good sign of like an uptrend or a downtrend. It's pretty much the green one. It's not, I don't think it's like meant to be traded off of or anything like that, but it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those things. It just happens to work well. It happens to go, okay, as long as we're somewhat above this moving average, we should be okay for continuing to our uptrend.
See, nothing happens if I make it 352, right? Wait, let's give it some name. Let's call that. So not which one, so which. Okay, E for exponential. I'm going here to the vote. So these are. Okay, you see, I just changed 352. Do you see any change between 345, for example? Okay, it's barely moved, right? Barely moved. Because there is no difference between 352, 345, and 355. And if I do this, you see how slightly change? If I do this and I start to go 360, etc., now the ratio between these two things has nothing to do with pi. It's 3.4, 3.5. It has absolutely nothing to do with pi, you see? Because I can change it and it still works with, different numbers. So it's ridiculous. They can make it 360, 365, where the ratio now is absolutely nothing to do with pi.
Giovanni, what do you think about these trading indicator packages that some YouTubers are selling? Because they're mostly based off moving averages and like some
So look,
some weird oscillator. Like I think it's all like some bullshit.
There was a certain point, so I studied them, right? Because I also traded with stocks and all kind of things like that, right?
Because price data is the most important, right? Price data and volume, maybe. Like
volume, almost never. I never found like a good indicator that it's not. Volume almost never gives you good information. That is my experience. I traded with stocks. I traded with futures. Not just in crypto. I traded a lot. Sometime on very short time frames, medium frames. I have a lot of experience with these things. And at a certain point, and most of the time is no, in particular if you trade on short time frames, they are not predictive, at all. Most of these indicators. And at a certain point, I had some hope because I found this engineer. His name is John Heller, and when I started to see how he was talking about these kind of things, I thought this guy knows what he's talking about because he's like a signal analysis expert, and he actually did his career in the field of mining and oil. So they hire a lot of these signal analysts because there are all these methods in signal analysis where, what they do, they make, sometimes they explode a mine, or they have a certain way of creating like basically artificial earthquakes, and then they measure how these waves, these blast waves, go through the terrain, because we have seismographers and things like that. Then from how they bounce from the ground, they come back. You can use all kind of different method from physics and then all these techniques is called. There is an entire field called signal analysis. It's not like a technical analysis that is basically bullshit. This is the real science. It's a signal analysis. There is an entire field that tells you how to extract a signal from noise, etc. So this guy applied this signal analysis approach that is a real science to trading. And they thought, okay, I think I found my guy. And he's right, because he started to use all kind of filters, all kind of, but the point always that even with this approach, you could not make it work, because the difference between what he did in his daily job and what he was trying to do in trading is that in his daily job he has information from the past and the future, because you collect data and you look at a particular moment in time. You don't have to do it in real time, so you can look at the past and the future. When you do it in that way, do you understand what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
It's a fake future, but you look at this time series, like the data from his seismographers, and you say, okay, I'm looking at this particular moment in time when I got a signal. I can look at a little bit time before, a little bit time later. It's called offline analysis, right? You do it, what you collect the data, and then you do it, because it doesn't have to do it in real time. You can just analyze and say, okay, we exploded a mine here. We saw this reaction for the ground. It doesn't look like there is anything here. We move 2 miles ahead in a certain direction. We do like a grid, right? We do a grid, and then
Yeah.
we test over and over again until they find a place where the sound waves, the shock waves, they go through the ground. They are like sound waves, but they move through the ground, right? The waves uh, move in a certain way that is typical of oil deposits. Maybe they go slower because it's liquid. There's a transition between solid of the rocks to liquid, so it goes kind of slow down. So you can detect it, right? You can make a graph and say, oh, look, in this particular spot, it looks like it could be water. Maybe they can distinguish water from oil. I'm just imagining, using my intuition as a physicist, of how we will do it. I never done it. I did similar things in other fields, like with the brain. I can do the same techniques using studying the brain, how brain waves move through the brain. Um, it's the same thing, use all the same tool. And the problem with that is you have the past and the future. With trading, you never have a future. And that is the challenge, right? You're trying to make prediction using all the information up to that point, and then estimate it in the future. Now you can try to learn from the past. You can say, oh, look, when this thing happened, then this other thing
Yeah.
happened, and but a lot of trading data are very random. There are no really patterns. The beauty with Bitcoin, that there are these very precise
Exactly.
patterns. That is unique. This is what I'm trying to tell everybody. And so many people don't listen. They don't want to hear, etc. But with Bitcoin, we have this beautiful pattern. There is this overall power law that is our kind of guideline, and is our where everything is pegged to that. Everything that we do is based on this idea. There is this very predictable pattern, and then we can look at deviation from the pattern. Then we look at some of these deviation with the bubbles are very regular in time, etc. Bitcoin is so unique; it's almost like a dream came true for any trader, because there is nothing like that. The only place where I was successful with trading other things was this technique. But at a certain point, once we have a bull run, we can try again. And the technique was, I will take a bunch of stocks. I did it with stocks. I'm also working, at least for a while, with the
Yeah.
stocks, and it was working very well with crypto during the bull market. And the way I did it, I was looking at many coins. Like in our case, this was during 2017. We look at 16 coins, like the top 16 coins in terms of market cap, because we wanted to take the less shitty coins, because we needed the liquidity. We wanted also,
Yeah.
for the coin not to go to zero, and so on. And so during the bull, what we did was we will sort them. We will sort them in terms of performance, some kind of performance. You can look at the average return. You can over a certain window or whatever, but basically some kind of measure of performance. And then we will sort them in terms of these performance, like the first one, the second one, third one. And then the idea was we didn't invent this. We read it from a paper. This method is called online portfolio selection. Because basically you're creating a portfolio, and it's called online because on a regular basis, and you can decide it's every day, every 5 days, or whatever, or even shorter amount of times. You update your portfolio, and you do it in a such a way where you basically rebalance your portfolio. It's this idea of rebalancing, where you sell a percentage of the most best performing stocks,
Mhm.
and you reinvest whatever you made. In this case, you will go from the coin to USDT, and the money that you make by reselling, and you calculate what is the average, and all the coins that are above average, you sell them until basically you go back to average, and you rebuy the coin in proportion where I've done worse. So you buy the more
Oh,
of a worse one, and so on, right? And what we found out actually, that what was optimal was not even rebalancing in these, like with all the coins, because the original paper was rebalance all the coin, proportionally to their performance. I found out that if you only took the worst one and you just bought the worst one, was much better. Actually, was doing much better. One can try both, right? But it turned out that actually, if you did it in a more aggressive way, like this, where you just bought always the worst performer, then you
you
do
did
it.
this you did this on a daily basis, or
On the 17, we did it every 5 minutes, every
what?
5 freaking minutes, and
But
I don't
don't
think
you
it will
have
ever.
like a lot of trading fees
Fees,
to do
right? The
this, or
fees, exactly. But
yeah?
the volatility was so crazy during 17, in particular in the
Oh,
last
this
month, like
yeah, I
in
remember how crazy it was.
December. It was
Oh,
crazy, but it was beating the fees. And in fact, you know how much we did in one single freaking month? 6 times relatively to Bitcoin. So basically, we multiply. In fact, my son started with Bitcoin. He was like really happy. He just
but
sold all his. He made money by selling all his items in the RuneScape, all his
oh,
party hats, all these things. He was like, 15, 16. I don't remember how old he was. He sold all his items, and he was able to buy one single Bitcoin. It was amazing. I was so proud of him. And then we ran his Bitcoin with his code. And by the end of the month, he had 6 Bitcoin, while Bitcoin was going crazy up, right? And then, unfortunately, we didn't sell at the top because we knew about the cycle and we could see them from our charts and everything, but we still didn't believe it. We were like everybody else, like,
Same.
oh, we don't believe our own eyes. We don't
It
believe what
can't
we
be
read.
over. Hopium.
so what?
Yeah, and
Why
I
did
was under the shower. I will remember all my life. I was under the shower and I was thinking, I was reading through this. I was saying, no, this time is different. There are institutions, because
We're
we have
going
been
to the moon.
this was
yeah, we have been
had the same
institutions
thoughts?
all the
Yeah,
time. At that time, maybe it was a small bank
yeah.
that people don't even remember, but they made a big deal at that time that this bank was buying Bitcoin, or was allowing people to buy Bitcoin or whatever, and to us at that time seemed this huge big news. People don't remember; they have a short memory. They think ETFs are this big deal, but they are a big
I
deal
did more
relatively.
stupid. I went leveraged long with like 4
Yeah,
Bitcoin at maybe
yeah. I had
1840,
like
and I
more
lost
than
it.
I had more than 100 Bitcoin in shit
Oh,
coins. 100
that's
Bitcoins in
crazy.
shit
That's
coins,
crazy.
and I lost 90% of that. When the market crashed.
Uh,
Uh, so I remember that all my life. I will remember it forever. How stupid I was. Not to
yeah.
listen to my own signals. Also, I was too much on crypto when I should have been a balance of the two. Because I would not have been that bad if I didn't have so much in crypto. But
But
I
did you
learned. I
apply
learned.
this tactic in the last bull run in 2021?
I was there coding because I was thinking I had a better version, and I was
Yeah.
testing this new version, and it was kind of working, but the volatility was not there. And plus, we were testing this new version and so on. So we didn't have anything epic like that. But I want to try this time. I don't think the 5 minutes will work because the fee will kill us.
Yeah.
But we can try daily. We can try every 2 days. I want to test it again, right? And we don't have to trade real money, or we can trade very, very little, to test it. But if it works, I want to share it with the group. We can make a little app and people can test it. We'll have to be through some kind of exchange, Bybit or whatever. The Americans, I don't know what they can use, maybe Coinbase, maybe
So
Pro.
I might have an idea. So you're applying this tactic in the top 15, but you could do it maybe with smaller altcoins. But would that
The
be
problem with smaller altcoins, they are not very liquid. And
Yeah.
so it's a problem, in particular if a lot of us are doing these. And so this is why we stick with the top one, because you want something liquid, you want something that, and the problem with something non-liquid is that if there are a lot of people.
So you would be using market orders mainly. Or...
Market orders again, it's a problem, because really our margins were relatively small, right? It's just that we were doing it so often and we were beating the fees that we were making these gains, but each little gain was relatively small, like 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes trading is really fast, it was really exciting because I have these graphs where it really looked like a fucking hockey stick. It was like going straight, and I couldn't. And this was a real data. It was not like a simulation. It was not projected. If I would not have believed it if it was not real data. So I was showing a real graph. What the heck is going on? And of course, right? I thought I'm not going to be a billionaire here, because if this, I didn't realize it was only because there was the bull market. And, like you fool yourself. This is why I say many people fool themselves, right? They don't realize stuff. But it was a learning experience. I learned something interesting.
I think we were meant to go through that kind of stuff, because if you don't, you think of how much you have learned and emotionally changed because you were dragged through the coals, so
absolutely. And then what happened is that I remember almost every minute of it. I went to Las Vegas because it was some kind of electronic conference, and I have a patent for a device for improving your memory while you're sleeping. So we went there with my company to see other similar products, etc. And I started to see. I actually got a coin at the time, a shit coin. I bought it because there was a guy. He disappeared. You don't see anymore. But he was like probably it was equivalent of Plan B, but he was not anonymous. He was there like every day, and he was talking about shit coins. At that time, people were not so maxi as they are right now. There was because there are all kind of different trends. There was not this strong maxi crazy group, so it was okay to talk about big other coins, right? And so this guy suggested, I don't remember what was his name, but he was super super popular, and he added this mysterious coin that he was talking about, and I knew because this is how things go, that the moment that he revealed the coin, you say, I have this coin that I'm going to reveal in a few days. I think it's probably the best coin. I really love
He
this
already
coin.
has a bag of those coins.
Yeah, exactly. Probably bought it a lot of this coin.
He's gonna dump on his.
Well, not yet, right? Because he wants people to buy it. I thought I'm going to jump on this coin. I'm going to buy. But I think I bought like an entire Bitcoin, right? Of course, it was not 70,000. I bought an entire Bitcoin more of this coin. Not anything crazy, but I put like some money in it. And at a certain point, while I was in Las Vegas, this single coin was 500. I made $500,000 out of this coin. $500,000. Okay. And I think I invested maybe 10,000 or 5,000. It was crazy. It was crazy. And again, not many people have that experience where they invested 10,000 and it became 500,000. But I should have sold that stupid coin. I should have sold it at that point, and I didn't. And it was one of the coin that crashes the fastest. So I lost a lot.
What was it? BitConnect.
No, of course not. I knew about BitConnect immediately. It was a bullshit because we were talking about making 1% a day. They were saying, and I say, like, are you crazy? Do you understand how much money you make if you do 1% a day? It's compounded. So I knew already that it was garbage. No, it was actually it changed name a couple of times. I think in the beginning was called, but what it became eventually Voyager. It was the Voyager coin. It was the
I think I heard of that.
ancestor one of the actually hub that collapsed during the FTX scandal and everything. It was one of these because it was actually we were trying to be like a little.
Wait,
Is
this
a hub
was in which year?
This was 2017, but yeah, it was called Ethos. So it started like Ethos, and then we changed name and they became Voyager, the Voyager coin. And it was like recently we had a bankruptcy, during when all the other exchanges collapsed or their projects. This project lost a lot of money, but because they went down to almost nothing, then they recovered, but I bought that coin, I made virtual 500,000 on it. So it was a learning experience. It was like you needed to go through all these to actually finally learn it. And then okay, we have these cycles. The cycle are real. They repeat itself. Because to be honest, imagine going back to the 2017. We had only one cycle, right? And actually, I remember even the first one where I remember how it was going up. I convinced my ex-girlfriend at that time to also buy Bitcoin. She said, "Oh, this is the easiest money they ever made." Then I was telling everybody to buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin. I was like really active on Facebook. Because already I was finding power laws. Didn't find the main power law, but the addresses and price. I found that power law. I knew there was something special about Bitcoin. And then it crashed, right? It crashed. In fact, we can see it went all the way to 100. I think it was 1,200, the peak, something like that. And then it crashed all the way to $200. Can you imagine? And so people were contacting on Facebook. I want to kill you. I want to kill you. You made me buy Bitcoin. It went down, lost 80. It went all the way down to $200. I bought it at 1,200. Well, we were all crazy. And I was telling everybody, calm down, and it's a long-term project. But I was scared. I was a little bit scared. Okay, not because I thought that Bitcoin was going to disappear, but I thought, what the heck? What happened here? Why this thing? Why it went down so much? And then I got hacked. I could really write a book only on my experiences on Bitcoin. All my history with Bitcoin. And so you learn about. And so this also, I think, what makes me a better analyst, because it's not just math. Every component here in the chart, any leap, and I almost feel it in my bones. I remember when it went up here and there and down.
Yeah.
But
I have the same.
I was confused because I didn't have. I wish I had a power law, in time at that time, but I knew it was a very precise trend, and we were in a cycle, etc. I would be a billionaire right now if that was the case. But it's a guiding light. Guys, it's not because I found it, etc. It's really, I really truly believe is Bitcoin tell us something. It's telling us.
Can I say something really quick?
Sure.
Because
sure, of course.
You wish you had the power law back then, but like I'm like 80% Bitcoin, and there there's this Kaspa group here on Discord that likes Kaspa. But right now, it looks like it's following the power law, but there's not enough data and time,
Correct.
But what if we take a small gamble on that it will follow the PAL law for a long time.
Yeah.
So it would be like buying Bitcoin early.
The only reason I
Is it
don't
worth
jump
to take a
on
bet? Is it worth to take a bet on this?
sure. I mean, it depends how calculated it is, right? Here it is. Can you see it?
Because
So it seems
I
that
think it's worth.
like even now, okay, we miss this. The predictor here told us that what was supposed to be a top year, top
Yeah,
year.
I
Now it
messaged
seems
you
like,
about this. Why I thought why it missed this cycle. It
yeah,
was
we'll have
because,
to read what you told me.
yeah, it was
Uh,
because 6 February, like in 1 month span, Bitcoin went up by 70%, and the
Okay.
whole altcoin market went up by 70%, or went up in that month as well. So it
I
like
see.
pumped too early for Kaspa's cycle. Kaspa
I
got
see.
dragged into the maybe in the
Okay, so we
high.
will monitor it, and right
Could be.
now, for example, Richwood here went down here, and then he went up. It seems again it is trying to find the power law trend. Let's monitor it.
Mhm.
Why not? Like if you do it in a sensible manner, and you're being aware, and you're trying to understand better what is going on, learning from all the experience we have right now. I want to play a little bit with this indicator, because maybe we can make it adequate for Kaspa, because I think it's set up to work mostly with Bitcoin. But I
Yeah.
want to see if I can modify it, because then we have also these. Maybe we can put an oscillator, next. We can play, right? I'm telling you one thing. When I learned about shit coins, the first shit coin that came out was Litecoin, and then they were all the other ones. I was actually mad. I remember my feeling at the time. I was really mad. I was saying, why people do this? We should all invest on Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah.
All
That's what
unite.
me.
We should all put our energy in Bitcoin and make it big and large. But human nature is human nature. You cannot stop it. The beautiful things of allowing people to do whatever the heck they want. It's that let them do whatever they want. If they don't kill other people, if they don't invade the space of another person, freedom. Freedom. Let them do whatever. Then they can do stupid things, important things. So freedom should be
Yep.
our highest value.
Yeah.
It's before everything else.
I definitely
Without
go ahead.
go ahead.
I definitely think if you have your position already set and you want to take like $1,000 or whatever your budget is, and play around with only that $1,000, like set hard rules for yourself, and then see
Yeah.
if you can grow that and practice and stuff like that, it's totally fine. But if you don't have that money to lose, or if you're, say, selling your Bitcoin to have a trading position, it's like at what risk? So your averages of winning with Bitcoin are very high. Your average of winning with trading is pretty low. So you want to weigh the risk. You know what I mean? But if you have the money to spare and you want to play around, I think Kaspa is probably the best bet. Truthfully, just the way it looks
Yeah.
and it's fast. You know what I mean?
So this is what I was trying to tell you, right? That when all these coins came out, like I thought these, that they were like basically traitors of Bitcoin. Then a friend of mine told me, oh, there is this new coin called Dark Coin. That was the coin of the time, right? Dark Coin. Dark Coin eventually became Dash, and now again,
Oh, Dash. Yeah.
and you guys don't know about Dash, but there was a time where Dash was up there. It was like, was like Cardano,
Thousands of dollars,
Solana.
right? It was valued back then.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
main thing is why it was called Dark, because when we changed the name and they became Dash. You see, I was that early, but actually Dash was not even called Dash.
Yeah, I didn't know
Uh,
about that. I heard, I
yeah,
knew in 2017
because it was
about
one
that.
of the first coin that really emphasized privacy.
Yeah,
They were tumbling. It was kind of like Monero.
like
I
Monero.
don't,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember the difference between the two, but they were both coins that were trying to make it really hard to track down where the transaction initiative. But actually, I wish people continue to support projects like that, because we need that. It's one of the very important thing about, one of the advantages of having crypto, that should be anonymous. I don't understand why the community is not supporting. We concede too much to all these regulations, all this bullshit, etc. I think crypto should not even be taxed, but okay, whatever. But anyway, but people were saying exactly the same thing. We were saying, look, we miss the Bitcoin train. It's so ridiculous thinking right now. We miss the Bitcoin train when Bitcoin was like $100, $200, right? We miss the
Yeah.
Bitcoin train at $200, yeah, because people were thinking 50 cents, 10 cents, 0.1 cents, like when people bought 10,000 Bitcoin for $1, So that in a sense, yes, it was missing the Bitcoin train. If you could get it at that price, but a lot of the people that got it at that price, they sold it. They sold it when it was $5.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never would have held on to Bitcoin back in the day if I bought it underneath $100. There's no way I would have had it.
Let's be honest. Yeah.
No, I will have, because I never went into Bitcoin thinking that it was like a short-term thing. I knew that there was horizon was going to be 10, 15, 20 years. I thought, I'm going to sell when I am super million.
I heard about Bitcoin through Silk Row, and that's I was like, man, this stuff seems really shady. It was $300, and I was like, this stuff seems really shady. I don't think I'm gonna deal with it. And then never touched it, and then learned about it again and before the run in 2017.
Yeah, but everybody has his own story. For me, it was not like that.
Yeah,
I'm a young guy, and I needed to buy a house or whatever, and then I need to sell some Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
If sell something,
you need the money,
is okay, but not all of them. But yeah, everybody has a different story. But we were saying, okay, we missed the Bitcoin train. It's $200 now. I knew that it was going to be thousands out, but I wanted that feeling of buying something for few cents, and then this thing goes to 20, 30, $50. I wanted to experience that, and so I jump in these coins. I bought some dark coins, I bought some Monero. In fact, you know what, that is one of the things they saved me, because unfortunately I was stupid enough, because again, you learn by doing these things. I kept a lot of my Bitcoin on this exchange. It was called MintPal, and it was the owner of the original owner. The original owner sold it, and the new people come in, and these new people, one of them was this psychopath motherfucker. Like he had, no, really, he raped. He eventually went to jail because he raped several girlfriends. They all come together and denounced him. But he was also known in some other community, like the anime community, and they kick him out because he was stealing people money and doing other horrible things. And he will change name. He's one of these really career psychopath that has like different names. Like he had like 10 different names. Like he would change his name, and then he created a. Do you remember Moolah? Do you remember this thing called Moolah? Where
Yeah.
It was an exchange where you could sell Doge. It was all geared towards Doge. Because Doge, then when Doge came out, was also a big thing, right? Oh, okay, there is this funny coin, meme coin, and we are going to play Bitcoin. It was like for the kids, right? The Bitcoin for the kids, so the kids could give each other a little bit of this Doge and play and learn about crypto. Okay, other role, But this guy basically started to become, he wanted to create some clout in the Doge world, and so he was doing Nasdaq races. He was collecting money so people they could put like a Doge symbol on a Nasdaq car. Then there was like a Doge guy that killed himself, so he created like a fund for supporting people with depression, etc. And he was actually stealing all these funds, that he was telling people donate here, donate there, so people thought he was this amazing guy, that he was doing all these great projects. And when he was stealing money from the people never done anything with it. He was, using it for himself. And then eventually he bought this exchange. And when he bought the exchange, he they were supposed to give an upgrade, make it better, etc. And instead, he closed down the exchange, saying that it was basically kind of trying to play the Mt. Gox excuse, that they had some kind of hack. But Mt. Gox was really hacked at a certain point. That was part of the problem that they had. And that instead this guy invented it was an hack. He was the hacker. He ran away with coins, but he only stole Bitcoin, but he didn't take any of the shit coins. And he left my Monero, he left my Dash, etc. So I recovered a lot from actually having some of these coins that he didn't steal. And they actually during 2017 they went up much faster than Bitcoin. But yeah, that is one of the things that happened. I like I say, I can write. He stole like 35 Bitcoins from me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would like to have an Italian mafia visiting him, and okay, do you need this finger? Do you need this? I'm just kidding. I don't have a heart to do these kind of things, but
and this story is correlated to, for example, Kaspa or altcoins, like what?
Well, the reason why I mentioned that story is that I invested in Dash and I invested in these coins, thinking it's the new Bitcoin, right? And eventually, they kind of did that, but just for a short term, right? During that 2017. Then after 2017, that's why nobody knows. If you tell the average Bitcoiner now, the average crypto person, about Dash? If they were around, maybe kind of remember, but most people don't know, right? Look at where Dash is right now. We can even check CoinMarketCap, right? Probably it's like 80 or something, right? It still exists, but nobody even talks about. So my feeling about
top
other
right
projects like that is that it's 189. Wow.
Dash.
Like in 2017 was like maybe third or fourth or fifth, something like that. Was equivalent like basically Solana, or Cardano.
You never marry your altcoins.
If you look at
this is what I'm trying to say, right? That it's possible that yeah, exactly. You never marry. The Casper case 25, and this cool coin, and it's doing all these things. Maybe it goes to fourth or fifth. Okay, great, beautiful, but then disappears. Like Avalanche, for example.
Yeah, I think altcoins are meant to be traded, like we were talking about. You know what I mean? They're
exactly.
Bitcoin is Bitcoin's like investing in a developing country. Altcoins are investing in companies with people that run them.
Yeah. So if you think them in that way, where you're basically trading them, to make more Bitcoins, that should be the ultimate goal, then fine. But don't think that you discover a new Bitcoin, because every time you think that, you will be wrong.
Yeah, you should probably sell when you think that.
This is why these Kaspa fanatics, they say, "Oh, this is the new Bitcoin." Now, if you look at the paper and you look at the technology and how it's set up, it's possible that they have an advancement in the blockchain. They ask me all the time, look at the paper, and I saw they have all these nice equations, etc. I'm sure that they did a lot of work, and there is some intellectual IP there that is worthwhile, etc. The problem with that, and I went to this conference in Portland. There was a guy making the point, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has this strength and this weakness. For example, one of the weaknesses is not very easy to scale up, but it is very reliable. It's very robust. It's very simple. Simple sometimes is great. Because it has a lot of good quality. It's simple to understand. It's simple to fix. It's robust and so on. Maybe it has some problem because it's not scalable or whatever, or it's difficult to scale. So you kind of find ways around, right? Like the second layer, the third layer, or whatever. But he was mentioning all the other coins. Say, okay, there is this coin. This coin has very good this other quality, whatever that is. Maybe it's more scalable. But look what happened. When he will mention this happened to this coin. Um, I think we were mentioning Solana, how Solana crashed. That then basically was centralized because basically to restart your Solana, you needed this password or this code or whatever, and you needed to restart that by going to this Discord server where you got, like, okay, I have all this money in this coin, I need to go to a Discord server to restart it. It's stupid.
Yeah.
So basically, I completely understood the point. We say you maybe cannot have. You basically was saying, I don't think you can have a coin. He was mentioning three elements. One was scalability, the other one was speed of transaction. I was mentioning three. I don't remember the three. I should have taken a picture actually of that because it was a very nice lecture. But it basically is a main point that I brought home, and because I had still some question about that, but basically was saying, look, you have a trade-off between these three important qualities. Which one do you care more for something that is supposed to be your store of value? I care about reliability. I care about the system that doesn't crash, that is reliable, that is robust, etc. All the other problems eventually can be solved, or you can find solution about it. So Bitcoin is that thing. And so yeah, all the innovation, maybe they have some application. The day that I see something, I would like to see something like YouTube, for example, that is on the blockchain, so people can post videos, and maybe there is like a fair algorithm, that has some intelligent way of showing things that are relevant to you, without all the games that they play with these algos, that they have. And also, if you post something controversial, there is not a third party that you know close it down. But then how do you deal with the IP? How do you deal with somebody who wants to upload, child porn? How do you deal with these things? I don't know. But that would be nice if you had more and more decentralized projects where we decentralize everything. And if there are challenges like that, then we face them. But I don't see yet, at least that I know, any real good project. I think the closest one what was Brave browser, because they had a real project behind it, and some people. At a certain point, I started to use Brave, and it had a lot of nice features. Do you have an experience using Brave, guys?
Yep.
I don't.
Use Brave. You use it.
I've used it. I don't use it now. It's a Chrome-based browser that is more privacy built. So
right, but it's linked to a coin, right? We have
it was a browser first before it had a coin.
Okay. But a project like that where there is a real tangible thing, like some kind of decentralized project, like a YouTube that is decentralized, a Google that is decentralized, AI that is decentralized, like Chat GPT, but it does not depend on one company, that they can control stuff like that. If you had a decentralized Chat GPT and it was supported by a coin, then I will jump in and I will even invest on a project like that. But I want to see the application. Show me, because there were other things like that I get. In the beginning, I almost like there was one guy called Larimer, something like that, and at that time we had a lot of podcasts. Particularly, it was Talking Bitcoin, something like that. And they were interviewing this guy, and I thought this guy is a genius. Like, this guy is another Satoshi, and he's a very clever guy. But you know what? This guy, he will jump on a project. In fact, I think he was the guy that created Cardano actually. But there were other projects that he created, like 3, 4, 5 of them, and he will put a lot of uh, like for example, was something called proto shares that he created. And so he was saying basically you were buying like shares, the equivalent of shares in all the projects that he was going to do. And so basically it was like kind of a Kickstarter campaign. We were going to get, like payouts out of whatever this guy was going to do in the future and his company, etc. So I started to mine these Proto shares. I really believe in the project. And then the guy will not finish this particular project. He will jump the next one. He will jump in the next one. He will jump in the next one, and he
Yeah.
will never bring to the. And so basically, every time he was jumping, like with, if I remember well, with Cardano, he was one of the fastest. This was during the ICO mania. I think they raised like billions of dollars within a few days or something like that. The guy made a ton of money, and he always jumps ship, and he never brings the project to fruition. So I kind of got disillusioned, with. So I went from 18 the shit coins thinking they were traitors of Bitcoin to, hey, let's try this, let's try that, making actually money, a lot of money with some of them, and losing it again, then, believing in some of the, creators behind these projects and then see them been failing or never going anywhere. So right now I'm completely disillusioned. So if I can trade them and make money, I'm fine with it, until I see something concrete. The day that I see something concrete and there is a really cool project that is, a blockchain project that is decentralized and is something that is worth it behind just making money, then I can invest in. But right now I don't know of any, including Casper. So I'm very skeptical. But if we can make more money with Casper, even trading the other shit coins where the bull market starts, why not? I don't have anything against it. I even traded Doge, I traded anything. I made money with Doge.
I have
I'm fine
altcoins.
with it, so.
Yeah. I have altcoins because I know other people will look at Bitcoin and go, oh, it's too expensive. I need to go and buy
Yeah.
this other stuff. That's the only reason I have
Yeah.
them. I don't believe in the
That makes-
projects or
makes
anything
sense.
like
Yeah,
that.
makes sense.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I love you to that. Yeah, if we want to discuss one or two things very quickly.
Yep.
we
I
can-
wanted to tell you real
was this useful session, Sanderson?
Yeah,
Have you learned
definitely.
something?
Yeah.
How to do moving averages and things like that, right? A little
Yeah,
bit
I'm
more
learning every
coding.
day. Thank you. Yeah.
No problem. My pleasure.
Giovanni, if you jump back over to one of your trading view charts, you can get,
Yeah.
if you want, you can get rid of those highlighted values on your price scale. If
Which
you
one? This one?
if you right click on the price scale, go a little,
Yeah.
yep, and then go down to labels, and then indicator, if you turn those off, there you go.
Wow.
Now you
Oh,
can
very
see your
cool.
price
I love
again.
Yeah, something that we should tell people. Yeah, because it was too much information.
Yeah.
It's not useful.
Well, I didn't know if you had it on there for a certain reason or not, or I
No,
know I've
no.
accidentally had mine on there, and it
Oh.
drove me nuts. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just turned it off after 4 years of using this. I mean, 7 years.
Yeah,
7
saving face is like,
Yeah.
the guru of trading.
I always
views.
turned
Yeah,
it
so
off in the
like-
indicators,
yeah,
but,
and that should work for every
everything.
single chart.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, thanks, saving face.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, much clearer, much nicer. Even
Yeah.
when I do like snapshots and stuff.
Is there another trick you know of?
Oh, by the way, look at what I did. I want to show you this.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to update so everybody can use it. But basically, what I did, I went here, right, and I improved the volatility, the our oscillator,
Mm-hmm.
and I had one more thing where it is now. It's called the relative to volatility. So basically, this is what you can do. In fact, if you go here, you can. So basically, what it does is take the difference between the price and the trend, and then it divide it by an average between price and trend. And you can decide, the first thing you can do is say, I want to increase the weight, and probably I should say here weight price. Okay, weight price relative to trend. It does say. So the say that I want to emphasize more. Remember how here. Let me show you. Let me show you from the beginning because maybe Sanders
Yeah.
didn't see this. So basically, we can choose. We can.
Oh
do it
yeah, I've
relative
seen this.
to
I've
the
seen this
trend,
multiple
right?
times.
So
In
if
the
we do it relative to the
YouTubers.
trend, this could be useful to show how big the first deviations were relative to the other. But it's kind of a little bit unsatisfying because you have these huge big peaks in the beginning. I wish we had another good run like that. Um, and so this could have some usefulness, but I think in general for what we are trying to do is the least useful. Then you go here and you do it by price, and now it's a little bit more normalized, right? There is more regularity because what we do now, we take the difference between price and trend, and instead of dividing by the trend, we divide it by the price. See, and there is some usefulness in doing that because now they seem more similar, right? Because a lot of the change in size was due to the fact that the price was so small, right? And so if we now we divide by the price instead of the divide by the trend, we get something much more regular, okay? And now the new variation that I had it's okay. Then you can do it to the mean. In this case, will be 50-50. So it's dividing by trend plus price divided by 2. So it's an average between the trend and the price. Each of them maybe have some usefulness. But then I say, hey, let me do one more thing. And now I also divide it by the volatility. And volatility is much more at the top. So we have one more piece of information. And I think this is actually really the best because see how it really finds the tops very nicely above, this kind of value,
Mm-hmm.
80, really tell us, in fact, kind of predicts, right, that we are very close to the top. Like look at this, right? We are approaching the top,
Yep.
And same thing here. So it really works well. And then what you can do, you can decide it here. So first of all, here the volatility is calculated over a certain window, like how many days. So you can say, I want to do it for more days, and you can play, right? It becomes smoother or less smooth or whatever. So you can test it. Maybe people can try different values and see which one works better, etc. And then you can also decide how much of a weight you want to give to the price relatively to the trend. Like for example, if you go all the way to 0, you will basically get the big peaks. You go a little bit 2, it will be a little bit because maybe you want to make the peak a little bit sharper.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to find a compromise, right? You say, okay, I'm going to find a compromise where it's maybe 0.6 of the weight for the price, or if it is 0.5, you go back to basically the middle one, but now adjusted for volatility too. But if you want to give a little bit more weight to the price, is that if we want to make a little bit more sharper, you go this, and so now you have a little bit of sharpness. Maybe you can move. The next thing we can do, you can also choose where to put these lines. Maybe want to put the eye. If you do sharper, maybe you want to put a little bit higher your this kind of threshold.
Mm-hmm. I think you can put it if you did those in the code. I think they're called like H lines or something like that. And
yes.
Then
we can make it a variable, right?
Yeah, and then you could just type in what you wanted them to be. Yeah.
One for the bottom, one for the top. But I really like this one. Do you like
Yeah,
it?
I like it a lot. Is it based off of Bollinger Band percentage, like how you're getting your volatility? Or is it?
No, just the volatility is defined as a ratio between today's price and yesterday's price.
Oh, okay.
But the average
Nice.
over a certain window,
Yeah.
So you can choose a window that you want. There is another one that this friend of mine, Plan C,
Yeah.
Plan G, Plan C, etc. Plan C, he showed me something where, like, at the beginning I was skeptical, and then I look at this another, right, a variation of these oscillators, and it looked like, whoa, it's really cool. It's how did the heck you do it? And he showed me, and I immediately understood. But I tried to replicate it, and I could not replicate even because he did it through GPT-4, and so I look at the instructions and I try to replicate it. But I need to revisit, and see what he's doing because he's doing some interesting work. Um, like he's one of these people that is almost the contrary to what I want. So there are some people that like my girlfriend, right? Doesn't know like the technical details of the math, but sometimes I show her some chart and say, "Oh, of course it's like this because," and like say, "How in the heck you know that?" Like this as a teacher, I know when somebody has intuition. That is the most difficult thing because it's very difficult to teach it. I think you are probably can teach it a little bit, but some people are really born with it. They have a really good. They look at data, look at information, and they really get to the core of it, what it means. It's very difficult. Then there are some people.
Yeah. I'm more not. I'm not trying to say anything, but I'm more that way. I'm not actually very highly educated school wise. I only went to high school to 10th grade, and then started working after that, and went and got my GED.
You are absolutely are. And believe me,
I'm the same way, man.
Nice.
I'm
Nice.
Yeah. Otherwise, you will not be here.
Okay.
Talking to me. We are the same kind, okay? Because look, the technical shit, you can learn it. It's just a question of time, right? Like for example, when I went to neuroscience, I knew I could learn that stuff very quickly. Also because it's basically just a bunch of information, but it's not really like with math. It's a skill. It's like play piano. Play piano, unless you want to be like the top of the top of the top, where then other things kicks in. Your artistic talents and other things. But being just like a virtuoso, it's all time. Much time you put in. Like basically practicing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing really special. Of course, okay, this guy spent a lot of time training himself on the piano. So, but the other stuff, it's you. I think you are born with it or you're not born with it. It's maybe you can improve a little bit, but no. And so when I found people like you guys, immediately say, okay, this, my family, because it's really rare. It's really rare. And so I tell her all the time, my girlfriend, she's like, oh, I'm so sad I couldn't learn math. Say, you are a mathematician, better than many other mathematicians. But then there are the people that study, and they don't understand anything. And they are like the worst because they think that they understand when they don't. They are like basically pedantic, very pedantic, and they don't understand the meaning of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very rare, very rare. But Plan C is like that. He doesn't have a lot of technical information, but he has a very powerful intuition. And sometimes he doesn't even realize himself. So he did this thing. They immediately understood what he was doing. But if he came up with it by himself, it's like genius, almost genius-like. And so what he did, basically, you look at the distance of each point, both he doesn't describe it in that way, but we see like when you do relativity, you have things that are called time-like and space-like, right? So basically you can define coordinates in what is called the space-time, and you can do it in terms of time or in terms of space. And he did almost like that. Like I really immediately like it because it sounded like almost relativity. So you basically can define a point, or imagine you have all these points, right, on the price chart, and
Mm-hmm.
and imagine you have a trend line, but you use actually the bottom line. But I think it's the same. I don't think you gain any more information by using the bottom support line. But this is what he did. So when imagine I measure the distance of that maybe each point from that line, but also I do it in time. And so I go forward or backwards, depends where I am, and I find the place where so basically see if imagine you are here on the top, right? You could say, how long will it take me if I was going on the straight line on the trend
Mm-hmm.
to reach that point?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that is almost like a distance in time, right? It's like it's a future price. It's almost like you are right now being on the top. you have an opportunity to trade a future price for Bitcoin, right? So you can almost understand it not just as a deviation from the trend, price like, but actually a time like distance from the trend. Do you understand this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you see it? And so
I
you
would,
can define each point. For each point, you can find two numbers. One is the distance from the trend in terms of price, and the other one, distance from the
I,
trend
I
in
was
terms of time.
doing exactly this with the Kaspa, looking at the.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I was thinking
Then,
exactly like this. If I
yeah,
would buy at a certain point, when would the power law catch up to my buy point in time, like
exactly,
in
exactly,
days?
exactly. And the same thing when you are
How
in
much
the bottom,
painful,
right?
yeah, how much painful days would I have to hold my Kaspa until the power law catches up? You know what I mean?
And if you are in the
Like,
bottom,
yeah,
it's almost like you're getting a price from the past. So it's
yeah,
basically like,
yeah.
so you want to, and again, it's the logic will make sense because if you imagine I'm experiencing today a price from 2 years from now, I want to sell, right? I'm selling in the future, right? I want to sell that because it's a price that Bitcoin will reach in the future and they can sell it now for that
Mhm.
future price. So you want to sell. And if you are in the past, if you are in the bottom, it's the other way around. It's like you have an opportunity to buy a price from the past, right? It's like you're
So
going
wait,
back in time.
you could make an indicator out of this.
Yeah,
This what
he
you're
did
saying?
because yeah,
Yeah.
he did, and
Is it
it's
the oscillator
actually
one?
it's an oscillator. He called it Euclidean distance because what does it mean Euclidean
Oh, yeah.
distance? Basically, it's like a Euclidean distance, right? When you measure a distance in 2D, you have the x-axis and the y-axis, and then you take the distance of each point from x and y, and then you sum them together, and then you take the square root of that. You take the square of each, and then the square root of that, right? And so basically, he took the distance in price from the trend. He took the time-like distance, and then he squared these guys, sum them, and take the square root. And he gets this beautiful, beautiful oscillator. I was trying to reproduce it. I was not able to for some reason. Maybe I made a mistake or whatever, but I'm going to revisit because when I look at it, in the beginning I was skeptical, and then I look at it better and say, oh, this is a damn good oscillator because it had all the bottoms. It was not too much different from this one, but it was actually better. It was actually better. So if I learn how to do it, then we can add because you know what I want to put in this one because it doesn't. We should not like this one is different,
I put a
because
picture
it's
of it
time.
in the chat.
Yeah,
No.
but I want to put a bunch of different oscillators in one, just in one. So you can choose which oscillator
Oh
you
yeah,
want.
yeah.
In fact, probably we can even put the more classical one, like the one based on long-term holding and everything. So this one is going to be like a repository. So you go here and then choose, okay, which oscillator I want, right?
That's
And you can
nice.
choose maybe
And it's nice too for the people that don't buy the upgraded trading
right,
view.
exactly. Yes, so they will have that.
More value for
Um,
them.
yes, exactly. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. I want to do some also some indicators on MicroStrategy. So we yeah, you're showing is Euclidean distance, right? So it looks cool, right? Does it
Yeah,
look
yeah.
cool?
It looks nice.
Looks good.
So if we can reproduce it, because he gave me basically the instruction he gave to ChatGPT. I don't know. I need to. I was doing it late at night. Maybe there is a bug or whatever. It's not too different from what we have right now, but I think it's an improvement. So I will test it. It's using the Z-score, right? Because when
Yeah.
you want to compare them, you have to have something that is similar. In relativity, they use the velocity c to transform time into a distance. So basically they take time, they multiply by c, and it becomes a distance. And then this is why you can measure every point in space using both time and x, y, and z distance, spatial distance, and time-like distance. Time-like distance will be basically is it this thinking the future, is this thinking the past, etc. Then you have this four-dimensional quantity, that is space-time, and then everything you do in relativity, you do it with this four-dimensional quantity called space-time. But this is kind of similar, right? Where basically you never think to use two coordinates in a diagram like that, but he did. If he came out with that, I need to ask him. Like he's showing genius, like really good intuition about these kind of things. Because
Yeah, that's super cool how he came up with it.
yeah, it's a super cool idea. But immediately I understood what he did when he say Euclidean distance. You got to say, okay, you're a clever cookie. Very good, very good, very proud of you.
Yeah, I showed him how I got mine when he posted his. Mine is more like the second option on the BTC Power Law oscillator, where the tops are very rounded. It's by price, divided by price. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I really like his. I like that I like a very simple on-off mentality. To me, that is like it's at the top, it's on. It's time to take some profits. It's at the bottom, it's off. You know what I mean? It's very simple.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, good. Thank you guys so much to be around. Because it really makes the group so much better, and we need more people like you. So,
yeah, thanks for hosting the class.
We're doing progress. We're doing progress. I think it will be good. This time I really feel that we have all the tools, we have all the knowledge, we are a group, we can help each other, and let's see how it happens, right? If everything happens correctly, we should do fine. We should do really fine.
Yep.
So that's all. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, take it easy.
Have a good day.
You too.
You have a nice weekend. Bye.